Hi, I'm Ken Gross. I'm here to talk a moment about what's going on with our economy. We know our home values are down, we know our real estate investments are down, jobs have been lost, our asset values have been taken from us, through no fault of our own. If you're someone who's fallen victim to this economy and you're in over your head, it's important to know there is something you can do. Just ahead is the Financial Crisis Talk Center, hosted by me and the attorneys at Thav, Gross, Steinway & Bennett. Stick with us to find out what can be done to help resolve your financial problems and preserve your future income for you and your family. A third of Americans are underwater in their homes. The value of their homes is less than the amount of their mortgages. Credit card companies, they've tripled interest rates and virtually eliminated everybody's available credit. Try and modify your mortgage, you call the lender up and they say, we haven't gotten the information, refax us the information, after you've already done this 3 times. The recession's over? I don't think so if you're one of 7.2 million Americans who have lost their job. Is this the American dream or the American nightmare? Welcome to the Financial Crisis Talk Center. I'm Ken Gross, your host. Are you upside down in your home? Are you buried in credit card debt? Are your finances out of control and you don't know where to turn? Stay tuned to find out how Thav, Gross, Steinway & Bennett and our team of financial crisis attorneys will help you shed your debt, secure your future earnings, and turn your life around. Good morning, David Einstandig, my co-host. How are you, David?
Always a pleasure to see you, Ken. I'm doing fine. Looking forward to tackling some tough issues today.
David is with me with the law firm of Thav, Gross, Steinway & Bennett. Also with us today, Brian Small. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Ken. A pleasure to be here this morning. Looking forward to talking about some hard issues regarding the economy and bankruptcy and mortgage modifications and all the things we can do to help our listeners get out of debt.
Also with us this morning, Eric Glick, head of our Consumer Affairs Department. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Ken. It's good to be here today.
So, guys, here we are. It's Financial Crisis Talk Center time. What do we want to talk about today?
Day in and day out, I have clients, friends, family members asking me, what do I need to do? I'm underwater in my home. I can't make my monthly payments. My credit card bills are out of control. My availability on the balances of my credit cards has been completely deteriorated. They're asking me, and I'm asking you, what can be done?
It's a good topic. It's the crux to the matter with the whole financial crisis. The way I see it, people are constantly calling me with the same thing. They want to know, do I modify my mortgage? Do I walk away from my house? Do I go to these debt settlement companies on the credit cards, or do I file bankruptcy? And the answer is, it depends on the situation, and you have to really examine each particular person's situation carefully to know what the right thing to do is. I've got an example that I'd like to walk you through to kind of illustrate really how you look at the situation of a house underwater and if you've got credit card debt to go along with it. Because the big problem that I see on a long-term basis is if you're sitting on a house that used to be worth $300,000 and today it's only worth $150,000 and you still owe $250,000 on it, are you going to modify your mortgage and spend the next 20 years paying for air? Or is there another strategy that works better for you? I think that there is, and that's what I think we need to talk about. You're watching the Financial Crisis Talk Center. Are you upside down in your home? Are you buried in credit card debt? Are your finances out of control and you don't know where to turn? Stay tuned to find out how Thav, Gross, Steinway & Bennett and our team of financial crisis attorneys will help you shed your debt, secure your future earnings, and turn your life around. In this next part of the program, I'm going to break down the Mike and Rita example. This example relates to the majority of people in financial crisis. If you find you're in a similar situation, it's important to understand now is the time to take action. Listen to find out how a typical family's future net worth can be preserved by using the tools of financial crisis management. Let's take a look at a typical situation. I call it the Mike and Rita example. 2006, their house was worth $270,000. They've got a mortgage for $250,000, credit card debt $40,000. Financial crisis comes along, the housing market collapses, things change. The value of their house now is $150,000. The mortgage is still $250,000. Credit card debt has grown and is now $75,000. Mike and Rita are in a financial crisis at this point. They're $100,000 underwater in their home. They've got a lot of credit card debt. Let's assume this is their budget and assume they're making $7,000 a month after tax. If they continue to make their mortgage payment and their credit card payments, at the end of the month, they're negative $825 a month. That explains why the credit card debt is going up. If they could somehow get rid of the mortgage payment or reduce it down to a house worth $150,000, like their house is actually worth, and get rid of the credit card debt, their situation changes. That's the revised column. In this situation, they go from negative $825 to positive $2,500 a month. Then I deduct $1,000 for quality of life money because there's no quality of life over here, and they're still saving $1,600 a month. Now let's look and see what that means 10 and 20 years from now. If Mike and Rita don't do anything, like the banks want them to do, and they go ahead and they pay that $250,000 mortgage and they struggle through the credit card debt, at the end of 10 years, they're going to have a net worth of negative $109,000. Right now, their negative net worth is negative $175,000 because of the house. In 20 years, after paying for the house, giving the house a little bit of appreciation, it goes up from $150,000 to $198,000, paying down that mortgage, reducing the credit card debt, they're going to have a net worth of $29,000. Now let's look and compare if they could get rid of the credit card debt and get into the equivalent of a $150,000 mortgage. Dramatic difference. In that situation, in 10 years, they're going to have a positive net worth of $294,000. They'll have saved $258,000. In 20 years, they'll have savings of $727,000. The mortgage will be down to $85,000. The house will be worth more at $198,000. They'll have $840,000 net worth. That's saving that $1,575 a month at 6% interest, tax deferred. All the difference in the world. So what should Mike and Rita's goal be? To me, it's very obvious. The goal is you have to get rid of the credit. You can't afford to pay that credit card debt, and you can't pay for air. You can't pay $250,000 for a house that's only worth $150,000. That leaves you to the goal. The goal is you do not allow your future earnings, the next 10 and 20 years, to be wasted on satisfying debts of the past. That's the key to financial crisis management, in my view. How you get there is not always the easiest, is what we do, and that's the difficult question, but we use what we call the tools of financial crisis management in order to get to that place. But you start with a goal. What I find is people come into our office, they don't have the goal. They have never thought about 10 years and 20 years. They're thinking about, do I make my mortgage payment next month? Do I make it in 2 months? What happens to my credit score? What about the credit card companies who are calling? Do I take my money out of my 401k and pay off the credit cards? You've got to stop. You've got to take a deep breath, and you've got to think, where am I going to be in 10 years, in 20 years? Am I going to have a net worth of $30,000 because I do all the things that everyone else tells me to do? Or am I going to have a net worth of $850,000 because I've made the right decisions for myself and for my family by protecting my future income? To me, that is the critical decision to be made.